Good morning. Denise Dryden here out on Bainbridge in front of my favorite cedar tree. I like the colors. It's fall. It's peaceful out here. I think most of the people who live on this side of the island have sort of abandoned and gone over to Seattle, so it's so peaceful over here. Okay, so today the topic is cultivating adeptness, right? And we're going to play with some concepts, and I've been putting some new ideas to this video of putting out sort of random pieces and seeing how I can weave them together. So we're going to do medieval Latin definitions, Foster Cline, and talk about James Joyce. How's that? So we're going to explore some of these as how they relate to relationship dynamics, okay? So start with, let's make sure we all have a definition of adept. It's to be very skilled at something, at doing something, to be accomplished, to be an expert, to be a person highly skilled in a subject area. So it could be a subject area, it could be something you do, but it's where there's expertise and there's accomplishment, right? And to be socially adept, which I like, is a person who knows their stuff and plays well with others. It means that they understand the dynamics and they're really well informed and they do it well with other people, right? To be socially adept. So here's where it gets interesting, because when we go back to the roots in the historical sort of context of how adept has been used, it gets kind of interesting. So Latin is adepti, A-D-E-P-T-I. So those who've attained knowledge of esoteric secrets of alchemy. One who has the knowledge of alchemy, the occult, the hermetic philosophy, and magic. So adept goes right straight to the roots of hermetic principles, of alchemy, of knowledge, the occult, and magic. So when we are adept, we know things that are not really known and seen, right? And I'm doing this and I go, wow, this is kind of interesting. So then I stumble across the medieval term of adept, which is adeptus, which is a person who has learned the secrets of alchemy, a transmuter of the baser materials into metals into gold, right? Adepts, adepts, plural, are those who seek to continually lessen the distortion between their personal vibration and the infinite creator. So they're always looking at this distortion, and they're using their magic and their wisdom to move within that. So James Joyce spoke a lot about this in Lysias. He wrote it in 1922, and he loved the word to be an adept. So play with this a little bit, and sort of now all of a sudden, to be adept at something means that I can be a master, and I can be good at something, but I have a whole lot of skills that I'm not talking about, or that are experienced but not necessarily understood. So it's sort of like, we go down the path of talking about relationship dynamics, and all of a sudden I'm in Harry Potter and Magicville, or I'm really honoring the depth of alchemy and how long it's been part of our culture. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been introducing the idea of energy in motion and ways to feel and see our emotions, right? So, emotions are energy in motion. And that these energies have a vibration, and that they transfer from one body to another, from one object to another. So they're always in motion and they're consistently moving, right? So once we get to that principle, then we go right back to remembering that energy in motion is emotions. So we bring this into something really real. So, I'm going to focus on the parent-child. However, it isn't really just the parent-child. You can translate this to your partner in your love relationship. You can transfer this to your friendships. You can transfer this to family members. You can transfer this to your colleagues, okay? So let's just say you're a teen and you're in high school, right? And you have friends and you have hormones going on. You've got schedules. You've got schoolwork. You've got deadlines. And you've got lots of personal interests. Standard teen. And by the way, you're probably working on individuating from your family members. Makes sense. It's about the most time appropriate thing. So in your head, you're all over the place. You're doing your best to manage a lot of different things. Family, expectations, chores, schoolwork, what's going on in high school, what your responsibilities are. And you interact with your parent in so many different ways, right? your parent might come up to you, mom or dad, mom, whatever, right? And they want to give you a hug because they haven't seen you in it all day. And you're like, oh, here we go. Or they may ask questions about your day, your friends. How was it? What did you do? Who did you talk to? Who did you, we know this, right? They check in with you on your schoolwork. How did you do on your math? Did you turn this assignment in? And they start sort of going through their mental checklist to make sure that you're on task. And if you have had any background in struggling with executive functioning or anxiety or isolation and withdrawal, parents are going to ask this more often. And that's going to be the thing that they worry about, right? And they might remind you, hey, don't forget you have soccer. Don't forget you have this appointment. Don't forget that this paper's due. So they have reminders of schedules and deadlines. And they reprimand you at the same time. They might say, hey, you left the towels on the floor. Hey, you forgot to feed the dog or you didn't lock the back door. Or you left the kitchen a mess this morning when you went to school. So all of those things. So it's sort of like a check-in. It's an attempt to connect and contact. It has some reminders in it and some scolding. All maybe in the 10 minutes you get to spend with a kid as they're rushing around from place to place, right? So we have the parent coming in, or they have the kid, and the kid's just going like in all different directions. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. And then incoming parent with another whole agenda. Now, let's go to the parent, okay? Or the other person, right? So you're a parent, you're an adult, you're busy. You may have been working all day. You're juggling schedules. You're managing life. You're trying to figure out who's going to eat, who's supposed to be where, how they're going to get there, especially if you don't have drivers. You have a limited amount of time with your team, and you try to put as much impact into that time as possible. So you check in, you remind, you talk about food, you talk about motivation, you talk about rules, you try to figure out how I can do something with this kid and make sure that they're on task. So again, the parent comes in, and the parent's all over the place with all of this spurring energy coming out in all ways. So we have two energy sources that are both really agitated or both really active, and they're interacting with each other, right? My jazz hands. And they're interacting with each other. Okay, so there's so much energy being flown around here. So you could do what you usually do, which is plow through, do the best you can, apologize afterwards. Hey, I'm sorry I was so short with you. I'm sorry I yelled at you. I'm sorry I threw something. I'm sorry I took your phone away from you for the next 4 months. You can experience those good or hard times, right? And all of those reactions. And you could measure this as being it's a hard day. It was the worst day. You talk to your partner, you do a self-reflection at the end of the day. This was so hard. This was the hardest day I've had in a long time. Or you could feel bad about how irritated or provoked you feel, that you just can't seem to get over how disrespected you felt or what this interaction was about. And you can blame the team for their snarky exchange. It's all about him or her, right? Because if she would just blah, blah, blah. Yet, if we're adept, we begin to approach this in a whole different way. So if we're adept and we are bringing in alchemy, and we're bringing in the understanding of energy and motion, right? And we're bringing in understandings on a much a place of wisdom. Okay. Number one, we check in and on where is our energy right now. What do you notice? Are your systems running high, agitated, anxious? You check in first. What's going on here, right? And then you look at, wow, am I triggered? Why am I triggered? I wonder what I'm triggered about. Was it the towels on the floor? Was it the back door left open? Was it that I came home and there's food all over the kitchen and the video games are going? What is it that kind of zinged at you and went, wah? And then next thing you know, you're in this pulsing, agitated place of energy. So that's the first thing, is check in on where your energy is, right? So the second thing, knowing that your triggers and reactions are there, how do you neutralize them? First, you can't go in and talk to somebody. You can't go in to talk to anybody when you're going like this, because all that they're going to react to is this. So what we do is we create time, we create space, and we create air. So we take a few minutes, we make sure that we're not agitated and around somebody else, and we breathe. And there's tools in previous videos on how to do that deep breathing. before you go into interaction with others. Always neutralize first. This is where adeptness comes in. This is where alchemy skills and mastery come in. Neutralize yourself first. So there's this huge advantage, because once you're neutral, then you can scan the room and scan the house and the area around you, and then you go, what do I notice? Looks like, and this is where our observation skills are so keen. Looks like he came home, got something to eat, then went back, got something more to eat, left his backpack on the floor, and you can just literally trace the whole thing, right? And then you go, so who's generating this? Is this me or is it him? And what are my real options? And then you get yourself balanced before you interact. And you go, wow, looks like you were kind of in a hurry when you got home. And you're not going in and going, what did you do? You're starting to talk about what you notice in a completely neutral way. And you do it with compassion and collaboration. And you do it with respect, which is, I respect my energy and I'm totally respecting your energy. I'm not going to go in and go, get your headsets off. I told you you need to. What you're doing is you're going in and go, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? Because you respect this human being. So when we scan and when we neutralize, number 2, and then number 3, when we scan and we get everything in order, then we know what our approach is. So here's where Foster Cline and Love and Logic come in, because it's just one of my absolute favorite tools that I've learned. And it works in businesses, it works in houses, it works with me personally, it works everywhere. Which is, if this is mine, I can do something about it. If it's not mine, I don't own it. It's not mine to fix. And so I was going to bring a prop and I forgot it. So I have my little Wi-Fi thing, right? And so here's an example. I'm upset because there's dishes all over the sink, your backpack's on the floor, and you're video gaming, and the kitchen's a mess, and the towels are wet from this morning, right? And I'm going to throw this at you and say, I'm upset, I need you to blah, blah, blah. If this person takes it, they own it. What we often see is the kids are like, not my problem, you're acting totally dysregulated right now. So it throws, and then it falls on the ground. And then you're really pissed because they're not taking it. But let's turn it around, which is kids going, hey, I'm going to be late for soccer because you didn't come get me off my video games and I haven't even eaten yet. And they throw it at you and you go, not my problem. Looks like you're going to be late. What are you going to do about that? And so the idea, and Foster Cline uses terms like bummer. What are you going to do about that, right? And so the thing is to go neutral and go compassionate, which is, it looks like there's a lot going on. What are you going to do? And let me know how it turns out. And if there's something that I can do to help out, let me know. If I can, I will. And so all of a sudden, respect is back in. And there's this collaboration, which is, okay, I got this. Could you grab me a snack? I'm going to grab this stuff. I'm going to get in the car. And we go into working together rather than fighting and then sitting in the car steaming at each other, right? So once you know what is yours and what is not yours, you can refuse to own it. Absolutely refuse to own it. You sidestep and you let the energy go someplace else. This is pure adeptness. This is mastery, which is I can see the energy patterns and I can move around and let them go by me and not take them on personally. So emotions are energy in motion, and once you grab it, it's yours to transform. So if you're doing this with mastery work, then you kind of go, well, so now I have this, what do I need to do with this? Or you can just simply let it go by, right? So it sounds like this is challenging, but it's not, right? And you can always meet respect with the other person. It's like, okay, it sounds like you, and you keep it over there, and I think you can do this. Right? And so you become the motivator. Let me know if there's, keep me posted. Let me know how you're doing. And you empower them. And this is easy. That's not true. You can't say this is easy. What you can say is, you've got this. You've got this, which is I trust you. Okay? Because when we say this is easy, it's our impression that the fact that you can't figure this out is incredible. And so let me pull that back, because that was an old pattern of mine that came out, and go, you've got this. I know, you've got this, right? So when we focus on us first, and how we present to others, and how we feel inside, and what we do around each other consciously and unconsciously, we become adept at relationship dynamics. We become specifically trained in the alchemy of how people interact with each other and how to avoid these pitfalls. So when we do that, we embrace the artistry of relationship, the beauty, the fun of relationship, the mastery, the craft of being you. This is who I am. And I'm not going to get triggered and start throwing my stuff around at other people anymore. And when we do this, our relationships become playful. We become playful. We become creative. We become interactive, collaborative. We develop skills that are transferable to other areas of our life. Believe me, when you can master your interactions with a hormonal teenager at home, you can be a master at work, a leader of many. That's why I used to work in the environment of teens and young adults. When you get triggered less, and you react less, and you create more time, and then you have more time to create things, like you can be an innovator, you can be an explorer, you can decide, what else do I want to be? And when you create this little bit of space in your life, then you create space for the truth to emerge, which is, the truth is, I have too many things, and it's taking me more and more time to rebalance myself, and I keep taking it out on my kid. However, what we often do is that if the truth emerges and we don't want to deal with it, then we just create a spin again and we go back asleep. So let's work on cultivating our adeptness, cultivating those skills that take us into a new level of mastery, of alchemy, of energy, of all that is. So if this is something you're interested in, definitely drop me a line on my website. You can find me on DeniseDrydenCoaching.com, and have a great Sunday. Have a great next week, and I'll see you next Sunday. Take care. Bye-bye.